Welcome to Your In Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. I am Jacob. I got Evan with me.
Hello.
We are your hosts for this podcast. We are trying something a little bit new. This is episode 80, so why not? Why not change everything? We usually we walk through and like I said, walk through and break down. But the key part there is like walk through. We narrate it. Kind of, summarize it. I take my notes. That's really time consuming. And overall, it's like if you guys are coming to a podcast about Star Wars, like in my mind, it was a refresher to kind of go through. But in reality, you've already seen it. Like, why would we? Why? Yeah. I don't know. I don't see a need for it. And it's a lot more prep work, which just it takes time. And I'm going to try to cut down on that. So we're trying something new.
Yep. So we both taken our notes on the respective episodes.
Right. And roughly just kind of ideas, bullet points, things that stuck out to us rather than,
now, there will still be a somewhat walkthrough of the episode. We're going to go ahead and give a summary of the events that unfold, but for the most part, it's going to be going over key points, points of interest, important details that we thought deemed discussion. Or even just moments that we thought needed to be reiterated. Though those may not lead to discussions themselves, they might have just still been an important point or detail to bring up.
So, to start off with, firstly, we are, you would have seen it in the title, but we're covering Rings of Power Episode 4 today. The title of it is, I think, Adar. Is that the title of this one?
I believe so, yeah.
No, that might have been last one. That was last one, I believe.
Oh man,
it doesn't
we're
matter.
Already messing up. Oh god.
Stupid. Just start beating myself against that.
I can pull it up real quick here just to make sure. But, so episode 4 is titled. Maybe if I went here, there we go. Episode 4 is titled "The Great Wave."
Okay. Yeah. So that's the episode we're covering. Probably should have started off with that, but hey, give us a little bit of grace. We're starting something new here. So just a quick kind of summary of the episode. Obviously, with how Rings of Power has been formatted, there are, and Lord of the Rings for that matter, but there are several groups that we're kind of following. And so what I'm going to do is kind of just touch on each one, and it's like, instead of as the episode plays out, jumping back and forth throughout the entire episode. Here's the storyline of this. It's kind of it's coinciding with this one, but we're just isolating it. So for the group that's followed around Numenor, there's the navigators, as we learned last episode. They're off singing and doing their thing. The Queen Regent dreams of Numenor's destruction. She has this vision where it's like just the Great Wave as the title of the episode, but just comes rushing in and just destroys the whole place. And she also faces growing unrest stirred by all the anti-elf kind of people there, because as we saw, Galadriel showed up, and a lot of them are like, elves, taking our gerbs. So a lot of that she's facing. Galadriel demands aid against Sauron and then is imprisoned because she's being sassy and not nice. She then escapes and learns of the Palantir vision, which was the vision that the Queen had been seeing, wasn't it?
Yep.
It's like that's the future of Numenor. And so, because there was some different things that kind of started happening where it was kind of alluding to, it's like, oh, this was what I saw in that vision.
Right.
The Queen ultimately agreed to escort Galadriel to Middle-earth. And that's kind of what all happened in Numenor. Then, also in Numenor, but we have Isildur. He deliberately sabotages his training, which causes him and his friends to be expelled from the Sea Guard. Tension builds there because it's kind of struggling with his path forward. His friends are now roped into it. It was only supposed to be him. He feels some guilt there, but Meanwhile, also at Khazad-dûm, Elrond uncovers Durin's secret mining and, swears an oath of friendship. They found Mithril. It's really dangerous to find, but super valuable. Durin reveals to him that ore and just all that, and then he ends up reconciling with his father. Now we have the other groups. The two remaining ones are Arondir and Adar. That's the elf that was him and his guards were captured by the orcs.
Yeah, it's down in the Southlands.
Yeah, whole system, that whole tunnel thing that they're doing. Arondir meets Adar, which is a scarred elf. The orcs call him father. Adar speaks of kind of remaking the world and orders Arondir to deliver a surrender or die message to the Southlanders. Then the last group we have is the Southlanders. Really, all I have is focusing in on Theo. If you remember, it was Bronwyn's son.
Yeah.
The Arondir's love interest. That he's not pulling an Evan. The Bronwyn, not the son. But Theo is rushing into so they evacuated their town because there was orcs coming and stuff. But now they're running out of food. So Theo's like, "I'll go get it," and he takes off. Actually, I think he sneaks off.
Yeah, he sneaks off with another Southlander and their little wheelbarrow to go get some food.
Yeah. So while scavenging, Theo is attacked by an orc and unleashes this sword that he had that we talked about that last time. This black sword hilt thing that's obviously not it's evil. But Arondir ends up coming with that message, but saves him and stuff. And then there's this old dude at the end, which, Evan, you said one of your bullet points concerns, so I'm not going to maybe talk about that. But
and I'll just say as well with the Southlands there, because you had mentioned that one village fleeing to the watchtower, right? Something that I don't know if a lot of people kind of pick up on when they watch the episode. It's not just that village. It's villages around the Southlands are all there is several. Getting some word of orcs coming, and they're all fleeing to the watchtower. Because especially when you get those couple scenes of the watchtower, it looks like there's way more people than just that one village, but they don't really say too much about that. So it is maybe not the whole of the Southlands, but their region of the Southlands all fleeing to that tower.
Okay. Yeah.
It focuses on the people from the village that Bronwyn and Theo are from. But I do know they do kind of make comment of, oh, these people from this village over here are here too now. And that's about all that gets addressed in terms of the surrounding people.
Yeah. So that's kind of a quick summary of the kind of story of the episode. There is one thing. So we ended with talking about Theo there. Like I said, he ran off and he's like, I'll get the food, and then he just continues being dumb. But that's kind of where we end there. Before we begin our bullet points, we have our sponsor break that we should take, and we're going to do that. When life has you feeling like you can't add any more to your plate, let Theo do exactly that. This episode of You're in Depth is brought to you by Theo Dash. Let him cover your food needs as he just blindly runs into stupid decisions. So thanks to Theo Dash. Check them out. And yeah.
I haven't tried Theo Dash. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, I can't say I'd recommend them.
Well, a lot of grain.
Sorry, they pay us.
They
pay us. I forget. Yeah, totally check them out.
Anyway. Anyways, though, our bullet points for this episode, was there a particular group that you wanted to start with?
I'll let you dictate that, but I mean, we did present it in the order of Numenor, Isildur, so kind of part A, part B, basically for there. Khazad-dûm, Arondir, and then Theo. So there's 5 parts starting with Numenor. We could just go through it the same way we presented the summary.
Yeah. So I've got a few bullet points on Numenor as a whole. That includes like Isildur and
okay,
Elendil and
we'll
the
lump
Queen
them
Regent,
together
all
then.
of them. Yeah. My first bullet point, and you had mentioned it at the very beginning of the quick recap, was the Queen Regent's vision of Numenor's destruction.
Yeah,
being buried beneath the waves of the sea. That's a pretty big deal, like
yeah. You've got this like kind of ideal, like I don't know what you want to call it. This like the region and the kind of Isle of Man, like this, like they're a prideful like mariner kind of area, and so it's kind of like this beautiful city,
right? And they're like an advanced civilization as well,
kinda,
like compared to like the Southlanders,
Uh-huh.
like. When you watch the episode and just watch all of Rings of Power, like the Southlanders are like kind of like your primitive, like almost Bronze Age-esque type of people, but then you have like the dwarves and the elves and the Numenorians who are all these like advanced civilizations who have done these wondrous things. And for your Queen Regent to have this vision of your whole entire kingdom just being swept away.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like just wiped off the face of of Middle Earth.
Well, and with that, it truthfully, that just kind of goes right into my next bullet point as well. It kind of ties the two together. Is the Queen Regent believes that vision is tied to, Numenor's relationship with the elves.
And Galadriel's like showing up. I don't know the right word I was going for.
Like her arrival, right? But I mean, the Queen Regent very much sees those two things tied together: the relationship with the elves, with Galadriel arriving, the destruction of Numenor, and even later in the episode when we go back to Numenor, she even comments on like her father, the king, having had at least a similar vision, if not the exact same vision, and trying to rekindle that relationship with the elves.
Yeah, and it kind of is a further, I guess, hardship that she's going with, is because it's like, okay, our poor relationship with the elves is kind of bringing this on in some way or another. And so I've got to remedy that, but all of my freaking people hate elves.
Yeah. Well, and
it's like
they hate the elves so much.
I don't want to say
maybe
that
not
one.
Hate, but dislike the elves to an extent, at least, that when the old king tried to rekindle that alliance, they overthrew him and put his daughter in his place. Because in this episode we find like the king is still alive. He's very sick.
Yeah, we do end up. I didn't mention that part, but we do end up finding that.
Yeah, he's sick and he's elderly and probably on his last few days or weeks or whatever. But like he is still alive. So.
Yeah. Now, okay. Did she? She kind of seemed resistant to helping, though.
Yeah.
Was it because I kind of perceived it as like she saw this elf showing up as kind of the bringer of the end in some ways.
Right. She kind of saw...
So she's obviously on edge because of it, but like...
Kind of saw Galadriel as like a what's it called? Like a doomsayer or like a...
Kind of, yeah.
Like, but like in the movies and stuff, the guy holding the sign, like, the end is nigh, the end of all things. Yeah. I would say... Maybe not in its entirety, but at least to a point, probably.
Right, but so she seems on edge and is kind of like, well, and rightfully so. She's having that vision, and then it's like, but she kind of, I thought she was kind of like resistant to help. So it's like if she was viewing the poor relationship of the elves and man as the potential, wouldn't you think she'd be more eager to help? Or is it this constant war between like, I want to help, but my people want to burn her,
I mean, from what I got from it was like, she views Galadriel arriving as the thing to cause Numenor's downfall. So if she can get Galadriel out of there,
she's just trying to get her
maybe
gone
that future will be changed. And it's not until the end of the episode, right, with Numenor, towards the end, where we see the leaves of the white tree fall as Galadriel is being sent away, that we see the Queen Regent, we see Elendil. They make like eye contact. They understand what's going on. Even Farazan, understands what this means. Like you can see the reaction on his face. That it's like, maybe we're not supposed to just send her away.
Yeah, actually, that would be kind of... So, to the listener, I want to point out something. This episode, I think I took my notes several months ago. I haven't seen the episode in a little while.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like piecing it back together, but I guess what I'm thinking is like, so are you saying that it was kind of like, she's like, oh no, she's bringing on the end. We got to get her the heck out of here because she's going to attract all sorts of bad stuff. And then as they got her gone, it's like, oh no, we actually need to help her because that's the part that prevents the downfall.
Yeah, that's because like I literally just watched the episode like this morning, right? Just to
probably
fix my notes, and everything like that, and refresh myself. That's very much the kind of the feel that I got from it. And
I can maybe see that.
Because even in like midway through the episode, you have like it's the one like craftsman that Halbrand gets into a fight with, right? Because Halbrand swipes his little badge,
right?
Like that guy is up on a pedestal, essentially, like up on some raised steps, like speaking to the crowd of like the elves are bad, they never die, they're gonna take our jobs, they don't sleep, they're gonna outperform us, yada yada yada.
Forgot I wrote
that. This guy is up there, and like you said, he's like fear mongering to the crowd,
Monger.
And Farazan comes walking through, and he hears this, and he steps up, and he kind of goes up there to appease the crowd.
Right.
Basically saying that like Numenor will be a kingdom of men. The elves are not going to come in here and tell us what to do. The elves fought against Morgoth, but so did we. Like we are not beholden unto them, type of talk, which in reality, when you like listen to it, like he's basically saying he's not contradicting the previous like worker that was speaking, right? Like he's more or less agreeing with him, but also saying like we're not going to stand for it. We're going to stand on our own 2 feet. So don't worry, And so even with like that, with Farazan talking to the same crowd, it's still like, truthfully, it's still like anti-elf sentiment that he's spreading, but he's saying it in a much more like controlled light,
Yeah.
And so like the episode is very much all the way until like the last little bit of like last scenes of Numenor in the episode. It's very much like anti-elf. We're not siding with them. They're not going to tell us what to do. This elf is not going to come in here and dictate to us. We are the men of Numenor. We stand on our own. And it's not until the white leaves or the leaves of the white tree fall.
It's not until the whitey leaves.
No. It's not until the leaves from the white tree fall that people like Miriel or Elendil or Farazan, who understand that significance, realize that no, we have to do something. This is like a dictate from the gods or from God that we must help. And because even the part where you mentioned where like Galadriel sees the same vision that Miriel sees, right? Like even in that, like Galadriel tries
other than like one of the old ladies in a cartoon,
the Queen Regent.
That was her name?
Yeah.
Mariel? These freaking episodes more closely to when we record. Okay, keep going.
But even in the scene where Galadriel sees that same vision of the sea washing over Numenor, Galadriel even tries to tell her, like, you are making this decision out of fear. You are giving in to, despair. You need to base your decisions on faith, and you need to stand strong for your people, yada, yada, yada. And even in that, it's like Galadriel's making a pretty good point, but even then, the Queen Regent's just like, faith is all well and good, but you can't base a kingdom off of it. You're gone. Bye. Adios.
Yeah, and actually, this is after This is after Galadriel's been imprisoned, right? And after she escapes.
Yeah. This is after she was like, I'm gonna go talk to the king. I'm gonna go talk to your daddy. You're in trouble,
right?
And the Queen Regent's like, nah, fam, go to jail.
Yeah. So, because one of my bullet points, we had talked about kind of passing the torch here, going back and forth.
Right.
That's not the right, probably proper use of passing the torch. It's more different, but it doesn't matter. So we had talked about trading off bullet points, but you've pretty much hit every one that I've had. And so what you're talking about right now was one of mine that. Her talking about the Queen's fear is kind of a prompting from Halbrand when she went to part ways with him. He kind of advised her to identify the Queen's fear and figure out like why she's so against helping because it's rooted in something. And well, the fear of that vision has appeared to be what it is.
Well, and he even relates it in a way that Galadriel can understand because like at least thus far through the show, it's like Galadriel is not politically savvy whatsoever. She is very much a warrior. And so he even he's like, how do you face a foe in battle? You identify their weak point and that's where you strike.
Yeah.
So do that here, apply your battlefield tactics, your battlefield knowledge to this situation and you'll probably get somewhere. So anyway,
that just kind of rooted from his advice, actually. Yeah. I just wanted to point that out.
My bullet point, though, for Galadriel getting thrown in prison was Galadriel gets thrown in prison because she doesn't know how to hold her tongue.
I mean, it very much was.
Yeah, she like I just said, she very much does not give off the impression that she understands how to talk to people.
No.
She has zero tact whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And for those that have watched the show already, that very much carries on in future episodes as well.
Yeah. Galadriel's thing was to her goal was to go see the king and get his favor and talk to him if she couldn't get through to the queen. So that's where we're at roughly in that summary.
Well, and I'll even say too, I don't have it as a bullet point, but it's just like Galadriel's attitude towards the Numenorians of like, I'm going to walk in here and you're just going to do what I say because we are the elves. You know?
She kind of feeds into their whole disdain for him.
I don't understand. Like, even someone that just lacks the basics of having tact in a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone that lacks the basic understanding of like how to phrase things should be able to read this situation at least a little bit.
Yeah.
When every single person around you is saying, we don't like you, we're not going to listen to what you have to say.
Right.
And you continue with, you're going to listen to me because I'm me. Like, I don't...
I don't know. I think that is probably conversation 101 there.
Right.
That's how you communicate with another person that is of equal significance.
To an extent, I can understand her having this like, oh, how mighty I am, right? Like, to an extent, I can understand it. Like, she is an elf. She was born and raised in Valinor, basically heaven, She did fight in the War of Wrath, which was the war against Morgoth. She is a general of the northern armies of the elves. So she has this expectation of being obeyed anyways, right? When she's with the elves, she converses with like the High King Gil-galad and people like Elrond, who is a high-ranking representative of the elves. So like with those things, I can kind of understand where she has this like, I am mighty, listen to me type of mentality. But I don't understand why she thinks just because they're men, they should be beholden to the elves.
Yeah.
It almost comes across as like, it almost makes me think that she is mixing the Southlanders and the Numenorians because the Southlanders fought with Morgoth, not against Morgoth.
Right, because Numenor, fought with the elves.
Right, yeah, they fought alongside the elves. And so, like, if she was talking to the Southlanders, I could understand this mentality she has so much more. Because this was your enemy who you fought against, who killed however many of your friends and family, and your warriors, those under your command, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But these are the dudes that helped you. Like, what?
Right.
Yeah, it baffles me rewatching these episodes, just her approach and her mentality to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we commented on it last time, how the, it's just like, I don't, she needs to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, well, and even Halbrand tells her that in, like, the last episode and this episode. Like, chill out, dude. Like, the dude that saved your life in the middle of the ocean is telling you to chill out. The dude that, if anyone here you would have any semblance of trust in, right, is telling you to chill out, maybe you should chill out.
Yeah. I just noticed, too, real quick, this is a side note, maybe we can then move on to just briefly, I don't know if you have anything on Isildur, but real quick, we had tested this recording and then quickly started a new one. It reformatted the title to Take Two.
Yeah.
You noticed that?
I saw that,
Kind of interesting. For the listener, we really are trying to change up some stuff just because, like I had mentioned with prep work and stuff, it just doesn't. I think that the appropriate way and the best way to grow a podcast anymore is to utilize short form content, and we're going to try to make that work without being on camera. I got some ideas, but with that, it's just so much work that we're like, no, we're gonna switch podcast kind of setups and how we do stuff. And so I just noticed something about how we're recording now, but it doesn't matter. Anywho,
in regards to Isildur, I had one note. And you'd already mentioned it. It was simply that he got kicked out of the Sea Guard.
Oh yeah.
He's
no longer a seaman.
Yeah. that was my only note for Isildur.
Miss all those seamen. He's gonna not like not being around seamen every day.
No,
why are you laughing?
That was my only note for Isildur. There really wasn't much in terms of his story other than that.
Right.
I guess the only other thing of note, kind of, is when they make the call for volunteers to go fight in the Southlands, he volunteers. But, yeah, there really wasn't too much for Isildur this episode.
Yeah. Well, but I guess with him volunteering, it kind of is like, I feel like overall his plan has been like, I want out.
Right, yeah, because even in the last episode, he makes the comments of like wanting to go west, which west would be. Yeah,
well, and we saw when we first saw him after they got done singing their hit song, he had seen, like, he was kind of longingly looking at the shores of what we had figured was probably Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And so he is kind of like, he's got that itch to go elsewhere.
Right.
And so this kind of is having quit the guard and stuff, and then I say
purposefully getting kicked
because
out.
He intentionally so quit.
But
he's kind of getting what he wanted,
right?
And, knowing how his character, what his character becomes,
right,
later on, it's like we know. I mean that he somehow got out of there anyway. So
yeah, well, and because by the time you get to the events of Fellowship of the Ring and even The Hobbit and the original movies and stuff, like, Numenor is not a kingdom anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
So, because, like, we know, like, Elendil and Isildur found the kingdoms of Arnor and Gondor in Middle Earth because Numenor is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And Arnor, I've talked about it before, but just as a reminder, Arnor was once a kingdom of men from Numenor that was kind of over closer to the Shire, and, like, I think Bree technically would fall in, like, the southern borders of what was once Arnor, just as a reminder of that. But
yeah, and I don't have anything regarding Isildur further either.
Yeah.
That was just something I kind of wondered when you...
the only other thing I saw in regards for Numenor, at least with your notes, was the sister. There's a little something you had in your notes for her. But...
Did I?
Yeah, because she was there when Pharazon's, like, appeasing the crowd. And I thought I saw just
true.
one little bullet point that you had there, just in regards to her character.
What was her name?
Tamar? No, it was like Earean or something like that, like Earion or something like that.
Yeah. I don't see anything regarding her in my notes.
From what I saw, because you had shared your screen.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was just
screen.
like,
yeah,
Farazan's son like hits on her and like tries to strike up conversation.
Oh yeah, Arian.
Yeah,
he flirts with her, but she's pulled away by her mentor because she's kind of like in like she's studying. She's in an apprenticeship sort of deal. No, I didn't have anything besides that.
Right.
That was it.
Her character in these first few episodes is not really that important, but she does become more important later on.
Okay.
But there's just not really a whole lot going on with her.
Yeah. So now over to the Southlands. We had mentioned the whole thing going on with Arondir and Adar and, the people of the Southlands. Not everybody from the Southlands, but we had the elves that were captured, and now they're basically in work camp for the orcs as they tunnel and do their stuff. So that's where we're at. For me, my bullet points and my notes, we mentioned Adar being introduced. He's this scarred kind of elf figure, and he's revered, whatever, as the father of the orcs. Yeah,
because Adar in Kenyan, I think it's called, which is like the Elvish, means father. It's like Quenya or something like that. Like you'll see it pop up if you have like the subtitles on.
Oh yeah, okay.
Or like Kenya or something like that.
Yeah, that's African, bud.
I don't know. That's what it says, dog. I don't know, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
Bless the rains down in Africa.
No, so anyway, that he's introduced, and as he was introduced, there's a lot of speculation on his character, who he is. I know a lot of people were like, "Is it him?"
Right, and even Arondir kind of makes a comment, or has like we kind of get like his thought is like, is this Sauron?
Yeah.
Or I think it was like the end of the last episode before his two elf companions are killed. Right. They make a comment of like, Sauron went by many names. Maybe this is one of them.
Right. Yeah. But Adar does, as we mentioned in the summary, he tasks Arondir with delivering that kind of basically like, hey guys, submit, or you're gonna be all killed.
Right.
That message.
And before we go into the Southlanders specifically, do we just want to cover any bullet points we have on like Adar and the Orcs?
I didn't have anything.
Okay. I just had a couple. So Adar, I thought it was something kind of curious. He makes a claim, or when he's talking to Arondir, about these lies that have been told about. I can't really, I don't think he ever specifies exactly what they are, but he makes a comment that they were told so long ago and so often that the rocks and roots now believe them. Which just kind of, to me, kind of sounded like he's trying to spread some propaganda to Arondir to try and get him on his side type of deal, And I kind of assumed that those lies are about, maybe not Morgoth specifically, but about like his cause and why he was fighting, and lies that the orcs are bad and yada 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 and they're evil, and that sort of thing. I kind of assume that's along the lines of what some of these lies could be.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't really elaborate on said quote unquote lies too much.
No. Okay.
And my only other bullet point...
Well, actually, so I did overlook something. Okay. Whatever. There was a scene where Adar had killed a wounded orc.
Yeah.
That was something I kind of like. It appears as like merciful, but is that in line with characteristics of these guys? Like, do they have? I mean, I guess he's the father of whatever,
Right.
and so it's kind of like it could be, but like it wasn't probably like some sort of like ritual, right?
No. The weird thing with this show, and that the way that they're doing it, in regards to the orcs or the uruks, or whatever you want to call them, is...
Well, it depends on which ones I suppose they are.
Right. Well, even in later episodes and stuff, like, Adar even makes a comment of, like, we prefer uruk to orc.
Oh, okay.
I
forgot that he said that.
Yeah.
So.
But, like, this show with the orcs or the uruks, compared to, like, The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, right, is different. Because right now you have Adar leading the orcs, and he very much acts as like a fatherly figure to them, and like shows them love and actually cares about them.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to Lord of the Rings and
daddy.
the Hobbits, little orc daddy.
Orc daddy.
But by the time you get to Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, like, Sauron doesn't care about the orcs.
No.
They're a means to an end for him,
Yeah. Disposable.
So, right. So like if this happened in the time of Lord of the Rings, very much could be some sort of ritual, or it could just be orcs killing orcs because they're orcs and they like to kill stuff. But here with Adar,
the ugliest green car just drive by.
But here with Adar, it's
off-putting color.
I think it's very much like, my child is suffering. They are mortally wounded. Yeah. We cannot heal them. I'm going to put them out of their misery.
Yeah.
But
well, that was the only note regarding them. But then we go to
the only other note I had.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think it really requires like much conversation.
Okay.
Is at one point in the episode we do see like the Uruks chasing Theo as they're trying to get whatever he has, and like the one kind of steps out into the direct sunlight, and we can see like the arms start to like sizzle on the orcs, so the orcs being burnt by direct sunlight. They skip like 1st and 2nd degree burn and go straight to 3rd degree. But that was my only other kind of note in regards to the Uruks.
Yeah, and I think the last time we commented on it, to where it's like as they're tunneling, they're kind of building like this tent because they are like, they very much avoid sunlight.
Yeah, and even in
unlike the Sparkle King himself, what's his name, Edward, from Twilight, they don't sparkle, they sizzle. Yeah, aren't you looking forward to when we finally cover Twilight, Evan?
I'm not covering Twilight.
Yeah, we were not doing that.
If you want to cover Twilight, Jacob, you can do that.
It'll
you can do that
be
one
a
solo
podcast.
Yep, you can do that one solo. Oh, sorry, buddy.
Actually, you know what? What's funny? So Seth is actually like, he's like, okay, the movies suck, but he's listened to the audiobooks of that, and he's like, it's actually kind of good. I don't believe him, but like, hey, if we ever do that, if there's a popular demand, maybe I'll have him come in.
But even in regards to the orcs, the Uruks in direct sunlight, even Gandalf makes the comment in Return of the King of like, Sauron is sending the smoke ahead of his host because the orcs do not like they suffer in sunlight, and so like that's something that we've known already. It's just kind of like, in this instance, we get to see the direct like consequence if the orcs go into direct sunlight. I think is really all it is. I don't. Yeah. They're creatures of evil and darkness, so the light would not be fun for them. But other than that, I don't think I had any other. Sorry.
And I don't.
I don't have any other notes like directly to Adar and the Orcs. Some of the stuff with the Southlanders might, will tie in with them as well, but that was just kind of what I had directly for them.
Yeah. So Theo, good old Theo dashing Theo. Theo the Uberman. Anywho, he the villagers at the watchtower are discussing food shortages. Theo sneaks into the village to try to get food with a friend, and then they're attacked by an orc. Well, actually, I don't think the friend really is. He kind of makes it away, doesn't he?
Yeah, the friend has like the wheelbarrow with the grain, and Theo's like, "Oh, we gotta go check this building. We didn't check it yet." And the dude's like, "Well, I'm getting back. It's getting close to nighttime."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, screw you."
Yeah,
I'm
and just
kind
of dips, and Theo goes into to get the last bit of food, and that's when he gets attacked.
Right, and he ends up using the black sword hilt thing that he had, and he like jams it like into his arm because it's like feeding off the blood basically and rebuilding itself. Kind of this not good bond there.
Yeah, it's like a dark.
He does that.
It's like a dark evil ritual. I almost equate it to like a renewing their oath or their faith in their evil dark lord.
Right,
is how it comes across to me.
Yeah, and it it flares up and it ends up completing itself, and then he like kills the orc, or at least stabs him or fights, and then runs off, and he barely escapes because he hides in a well.
Yeah, he wounds the orc,
primary part that
orc runs out there and like raises the alarm to the rest of them.
Yeah. Because now, the orcs let Adar know they found it. Like, so he's been looking for this thing.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to, I guess the bullet points were kind of like surrounding that. But have we seen anything similar to this weapon?
I think the closest thing that we would have seen would be the Morgul blade from Fellowship of the Ring. That the Nazgul use on Frodo. But even then, like those are two very different weapons.
Yeah. That's kind of where my mind went, but then it was like, well, it poisoned and nearly killed Frodo.
Right.
And so it's like this thing.
That's like the closest thing that we've really seen to a weapon like this. And even further with that though, too, kind of goes into one of my bullet points is Theo has this weapon, this sword.
Yeah.
But there's the one Southlander that knows Theo has it, and even makes the comment to Theo that it's not a weapon. It is a power made for their ancestors by Sauron, and then they need to be ready for his imminent return. And he even shows Theo that, like, he's got the scars on his forearm that Theo now has the wounds of from this weapon, and that we call a weapon because it's a sword. But like this Southlander gives the implication that this is very much more than just a simple blade that has a much darker and purpose, and that the Southlanders need to be ready for their master to return and rise up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
that was my final point, is talking about him and the thing on his arm.
Yeah. So. And of course, later on in the show, we'll figure out what this purpose is. But yeah, it's very much a strange weapon that we really haven't seen anything like before. I would say it's just as unique as like the Morgul blade from Fellowship of the Ring, as there's not really anything to compare it to, But
that kind of wraps up that part of the thing, and so if you're good to move on to Khazad Dûm.
I'm just double checking to make sure I didn't miss anything.
That'll be our final kind of spot.
Yeah, Theo rescued by Arondir, they flee to the watchtower. That's about all I had for the Southlanders.
Okay.
And I mentioned it when you were doing the recap, just the different villages around, fleeing to the watchtower as well, as the orcs are spreading across the Southlands. But that's about that. I think that's all I had for them.
Okay.
So we kind of just have left like Elrond and the dwarves for the most part.
Right.
Is about all that's left.
And so all that I have there is basically Elrond discovering that Durin is hiding that secret mining operation, which we talked about, just Mithril. But I feel like we talked about that in a previous episode, so I don't know if it's necessary to go deep into what Mithril, whatever, is. Right. But it just had it noted that it's lighter than silk and stronger than iron.
Yeah.
No, I'm pulling an Evan and mispronouncing stuff. I didn't acknowledge it, but I noticed you stumbled a few times, bud.
A couple times, yeah. Trying to word properly.
Yep.
One note I had for the dwarves and everything was, yes, the mining of Mithril, which they're currently working on, but also that the old mine where they are mining for said Mithril is located below the Mirror.
Mirror?
Yeah. The
is that like when you're
M-E-R-E.
Yeah, is that when a kid in the South doesn't listen to his mom and she has to reiterate it twice, where she's like, mirror?
Possibly. It's possible, yeah. But no, the mirror is the it just sounds dumb. It sounds dumb. I don't like it. But it's that pool of water where in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Say it again.
No, I'm not saying it again.
Say it again.
No.
Please. Please.
No.
Say it again.
I will not.
Say it again.
You say it.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I already did.
But
it's just funny when you say it.
It's
say
the
it.
pool of water.
No, stop. Say it.
I'm not saying it again.
Please say it again.
Why?
Because I think it's funny and I want to hear it.
The mirror.
Thanks. All right, go ahead.
That is the pool of water in the Fellowship of the Ring that sits just outside of the doors of Durin that the Fellowship uses.
The doors of Durin?
Yeah, the doors of Durin.
Around Mirror.
The Fellowship uses to get into Khazad-dûm or into Moria.
Yeah.
Where the Watcher in the water, the giant kraken creature thing,
right,
shows up.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was curious, just kind of the location of the old mines being directly under that pool of water there. With the dwarves as well, though, I guess my next bullet point is those mines do collapse as Elrond is talking to Durin about the Mithril that they found, and Durin has him make an oath on the stones of this mountain, to not say a word to anybody about it. But those mines do collapse like right in that time, and we do get a scene with Disa, Durin's wife, using their, I don't know kind of what you call it, like singing to the stones. Kind of like a prayer for the safety of the miners trapped. And she even comments to Elrond about, like, thank God you were there because otherwise Durin could have been trapped in there with them, and hopefully they can all make it out alive.
Right. I wanted to, something I did note about her singing to the stone. If anybody has played, what's the name of that? It's Return to Moria?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game, that is something that you can kind of, as you progress through, there's some different stones that you can sing to and try to, like, I don't fully understand it, but I just drew that connection between that and the game.
Yeah. But yeah, those mines collapse, and Disa and several other dwarves are, like, singing a prayer to the stones for their safety. Mm-hmm. And they do get those dwarves out alive. They're all they're all rescued safely. And I think it's a good thing to point out as well that Durin's father, also named Durin, he closes the mines. He's like, it's too dangerous for our people. We're closing the mines. We will no longer mine Mithril. It's done.
Yeah.
Which I think it's important to keep in mind his mentality, the Dwarf King's mentality now, compared to how we see him in Season 2.
Okay.
I don't know if you watched season 2 or not yet, Jacob.
No, I started it. I haven't. Okay. I figured I'd just wait until we cover it.
Yeah, just keep in mind his mentality now, where he's like closing off this mine to this insanely valuable, insanely rare material that could bring them a lot of wealth and power and everything like that. But he's closing it off for the safety of his people.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's too risky. We've had too many mines collapse. Our people are in danger when they're in there. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
Because a little bit of a spoiler alert, that mentality changes in season 2. Stuff happens, and that changes.
Okay.
So, yeah, just something to keep in mind with that.
Okay. But yeah, I don't have anything else, because I mean the episode kind of ends with, if I'm not mistaken, them singing to the stone, or at least their part of the episode, because it probably goes someplace else.
There's a little bit more. I don't know if it requires too much discussion. Prince Durin is kind of angry at his dad for closing the mines, and Elrond convinces him to like kind of reconcile with his father, basically saying like, my dad's not here anymore, and I wish I could hear his criticism one more time. You know, just to hear him talk to me again. So Elrond just kind of talks with Prince Durin to, make up with your father. You know, basically kind of like enjoy the time you have with him, because I wish I could still have my father here. And then the only other note I had for the dwarves after that was Prince Durin getting invited to Lindon, to go to Lindon with Elrond. And Prince and King Durin's converse, and they're like, yeah, go there and figure out what the High King's true intentions are. Because Elrond may be here in earnest, not trying to hide anything, but what's his High King up to?
The person who sent him could be.
Yeah.
The person who sent him could be. Yeah, I don't know, something about how I said that. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. Right. So
Yeah, so that was kind of that was the last little bit for the dwarves in this episode.
Yeah.
We don't have the Harfoots in this episode, so there's not really any update or anything to cover with them this go around. Right. But we will have the Harfoots back in the next episode to go into all their strange antics and silliness.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, so yeah, I don't know. We kind of did this episode as a test because I think that the discussion is kind of what we in a way. I feel like that's any podcast that talks about Star Wars. It's like that's what they have to offer as their commentary, and so I'm not saying that we're like, I say Star Wars as an example, but like I'm not saying that we have like this profound information or anything, but it's like that's kind of why would we just tell you about what the freaking you just watched, and so we're trying this, but if you as a listener have any sort of input as to how we can do things differently, or be a little more interesting, or just overall if you like how we're going, how the direction that this may be taking, that'd be great to drop as a comments, because I believe that Spotify podcasts have comments now. I'm pretty sure you can comment on this episode, so please do that. Also share it around, because as a thing that we mentioned last time, I made a sea shanty calling Evan a not nice thing. And if we reach 500 Spotify followers, I'll make it into an entire song. And I think that'd be fun to do. I have some ideas on how I could do it. I haven't written anything, but might hire out some, actual talent. We'll see. That'd be fun. So, share it around.
Yeah. Furthermore, as well, with this episode, I kind of felt like I was doing most of the talking in this regards.
And this one you were, and I'll be honest, I think, okay, so
I think a big part of that, truthfully, is your notes were from several months ago, so you're not quite up to date.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, and also I did take these notes in the old format, and then in between, I'm like, well, I could probably make do with what I have.
But
no.
I anticipate future episodes, more back and forth discussion.
For sure, because I sorry, I'm sputtering essentially. Kind of like, nope, not saying that. So, yeah, I made my notes for this episode back when I thought we were going to continue to walk through and break down like we had been doing. And so then I tried to adapt those notes to this. But for the next episode, which will be next Monday, I took the notes with this format in mind, and so they were intentionally actually taken. So I think that, Evan, I think that it is going to be more of a conversation, because this was kind of making do with what I had, because I didn't want to watch the episode again. I should have, because it proved to be challenging, but whatever.
I'll say too, with something like Lord of the Rings, I think there's just gonna be more of me talking just in general, just because I have more of like the background lore and knowledge that I've like delved into. So with something like Lord of the Rings, there's probably gonna be a little bit more of me talking than you.
That's true.
But something like with Star Wars, though, that there should be plenty of back and forth, a lot more so than this was. So
yeah. But anyway, just a few more things to mention. Every 1,000 downloads, we have been doing a blooper reel. We're probably going to keep that up. But the primary thing that we're kind of been excited about and we're hoping to do is if we get 25 reviews on the Apple Podcast page, we'll do a live stream and chat with anybody who were to be listening.
And so that you can you guys can distract me while I'm trying to give my bullet points.
Yeah, and make fun of him with me when he says dumb stuff like Mir.
Hey now, it's not my fault that Tolkien decided to name a little frickin' lake something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. That's
okay. But my question is then, why did you say it so much?
Man, we don't ask those types of questions.
Never mind. Okay. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I'm good if you are, Evan.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you guys next time in Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yep.
Where we will be covering the Mandalore arc.
Yep. One of them.
One of the several. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
What was that? It's like a duck.
Deuces.